Hello students, this is our series of learning theories, and in today's lesson we are going to talk about trial and error theory given by Edward Lee Thorndike. He was an American psychologist. According to Thorndike, learning takes place by trial and error. We can call it learning by selection of the successful variant. Accordingly, when no ready-made solution of a problem is available to us, we adopt the method of trial and error. We first try one solution. If it does not help us, we reject it. Then we try another and so on. In this way, we eliminate errors which do not serve the purpose and finally discovers the correct solution. For this theory, Thorndike done many experiments on the animals. For that, he created a puzzle box, and in one of his experiments he kept a hungry cat inside the box. The door of the box could be opened by pulling the strings inside the box. A fish was kept outside. Initially the cat tried to come out of the box by doing some random movements like jumping, biting, squeezing, etc. And by chance it pulled the strings in a proper way and came out. As the experiment was repeated for several times, the wrong movement decreases, and in the end the cat was able to open the door in one trial. Thorndike gave some factors which are involved in trial and error theory. The first factor is motive or drive. Drive is a tension state resulting from needs. Thorndike said that where there is a drive or motive, there is learning. In the present experiment, the hunger was the drive. Now, the second is stimulus or goal. It is the causal factor for activity. Thorndike said that learning takes place when there is a goal associated with it. In the present experiment, food acts as the stimulus, whereas getting the food was the goal of the cat. Then responses. The cat makes a number of different responses like scratching, biting, squeezing, pulling, etc. The responses which lead to the goal are known as satisfying, whereas the responses which do not lead to the goal are known as annoying responses. Now, next is block. The cat was confined in the box with a closed door. Here, the door acts as the block, and due to this block, cat tried to come out. Next is chance success. As a result of random movements, the cat by chance succeeded in opening the door. But we found that in the upcoming experiments, in the next experiment, gradually the cat selected the proper way of pulling the string out of its random movements, and at the end we found that now the cat was able to open the door at once. This was known as fixation. Now, on the basis of this trial and error theory, Thorndike gave some laws of learning which are divided as primary laws and the secondary laws. First, we will talk about the first law, that is law of readiness. This law states that a satisfying state of affairs result when an individual is ready to learn and is allowed to do so, which means that learning takes place when an action tendency is aroused through preparatory adjustment, set or attitude. Readiness means a preparation for action. If one is not prepared to learn, learning cannot be automatically instilled in him. The second law is law of effect. According to this law, any behavior that is followed by pleasant consequences is likely to be repeated, and any behavior followed by unpleasant consequences is likely to stop. This law signifies that if the responses satisfies the subject, they are learned and selected, while those which are not satisfying are eliminated. The third law is law of exercise. This law states that repeated exercising of a response strengthens its connection with the stimulus, and connection is weakened through failure of practice. This law can be subdivided into two laws, that is law of use and the law of disuse. Thorndike said that learning remains when we repeat the thing again and again and we use it, and it stops when we stop using it for a longer time. Now, Thorndike also gave some secondary laws. The first secondary law is law of multiple response. This law states that confronted with a new situation, the organism responds in a variety of ways before arriving at the correct response. It means the organism changes its response till an appropriate behavior is hit upon. The next is law of attitude. Learning is guided by the attitude of the organism toward the task. The learner performs task properly if he has developed a healthy attitude towards the task. The next law is law of analogy. This law says that individual responses to a new situation on the basis of the responses made by him in similar situation in the past. That is, organism makes responses by analogy. There is a tendency to utilize common elements in the new situation as existed in a similar past situation. For example, the learning of driving of a car is facilitated by the earlier acquired skill of driving a motorcycle. The next law is law of associative shifting. This law states that any response may elicit from the learner in associated with any situation to which he is sensitive. Thorndike illustrated this by the act of teaching a cat to stand up at a command. A fish was dangled before the cat while he said stand up. After a number of trials, by presenting the fish after uttering the command stand up, he later ousted the fish, and the overall command of stand up was found sufficient to evoke the response to the cat by standing up on her legs. Now we will talk about the educational implications of this theory. This theory suggests that motivation is very important in the teaching learning process. Learning should be made purposeful and goal directed. This theory also stresses on the mental readiness, meaningful practice, and incentives of the learning process. This theory says that more opportunities should be given to the learners to use and repeat the knowledge they get in the classroom. This theory also suggests us to encourage students to do their task independently. The student must try various solutions of the problem before arriving at the correct one. Thank you.